About 80%. Now my hand was just a cleanup. My TFCC has been torn for since 2011, and every time I did this motion, like I'm hitting, the flap of it was basically rubbing against whatever it was rubbing against. So they had to go in there and cut that flap off to ease up that pain for me. So I would think of it more so as like just a cleanup. I was experiencing it for a couple of years, but it just got worse and worse. But like last year, there were so many issues. The handmade. I thought it was the handmade at first, and when we cleaned up the handmade, and I was still feeling, the TFCC, it kind of made that a little bit more clear. I mean, I was on bed rest for a little bit. I couldn't really move. The cuts deep. The doctor here basically told me if I wasn't so muscular, I might be I might be dead or paralyzed. So I'm lucky. I'm lucky to even be able to play. I thought I wasn't going to be able to play again when I got stabbed and I was getting rushed to the hospital. I was on the phone with AJ and the training staff, or Rogo to be exact. I thought I wasn't going to be able to play. So when I got the CT scan, the doc was like, "I got great news for you." And she was like, "You could play." She just said it's going to be a little bit of recovery. As far as the timeline, what it was like, I mean, I was flying to San Francisco every week for about 6 weeks to go get shot up with some Regenokine to help the inflammation. Then, I work with a few doctors on getting to where I'm at because, it's only been about 4.5 months and the timeline is normally a little bit longer. But from a strength, from a rotational standpoint, I mean, my numbers when we test myself out, my numbers are pretty high compared to everyone else. The only thing I'm really lacking is squatting and deadlifting. My norms aren't there yet. But you don't really have to squat a lot and deadlift a lot to be a good baseball player. I mean, the way I look at it, my time wasn't quite yet. So, God kind of has other plans for me. Nah, not really, man. I still look at everything almost the same. If anything, I probably would just spend more money and stop saving as much. Because, if I die, then I feel like I have too much money in the bank and I didn't live enough. From a running standpoint, what I normally run on the treadmill is 25. I mean, I should say my best on my treadmill at home was 25 miles per hour in the past. And before I left, I was at like 24.3. So I'm not too far off from my best. Just physically, like I said, I can't squat a lot yet or deadlift a lot because my back's just not ready. I'm only, like I said, 4.5 months.
Mhm.
Hitting wise, my swing, rotation, and all that is fine. I've been hitting for a long time actually. I've been throwing, hitting, doing all my baseball stuff um, for a couple months now. Just physically, from the lower body standpoint, I'm not there, but there's other ways I've worked to build that up. Um, the next part of your question, I probably had the most to prove because I had a terrible year. I know analytics with the best of them. My WRC was down, and that's something I look at. Um, I was negative in defensive runs saved last year, -1 to be exact. I always take pride in not being negative because I don't want to be um, a detriment to the team on the field. Um, so, this is my free agent year as well. So I feel like I had the most to prove because I know I'm not a 78 WRC hitter, and I know I'm not a negative defensive player. I know what I'm capable of bringing to the table. With my speed and my athleticism, I I know I'm capable of being an above average elite player in this game. I mean, I only played 30 games. I think if we would have played 162, or for me, if I would have finished playing the 130, I think it would have evened out. To be honest with you, I was raised by my grandmas and my mom, and they basically kind of instilled in my life. You can't be no weak mentally. You can't be no weak black man. So I always kind of pride myself in that. I loved it. I love all the moves AJ made to help our team. Everyone, from we're seeing how good Kim is. Snell's one of the best pitchers. He's really going to help us, especially in this division. We have the Giants and the Dodgers. They have a lot of left-handed hitters who could swing that thing, and Blake's going to make it a little bit harder for them. I just gave AJ my 2 cents. That's all. He's the main guy. He's the GM. I'm just the player GM. We have a very good chemistry as a team. With a lot of big names, you would expect big egos, but that's not the situation over here. Everyone meshes together really well. Everyone pulls for one another, and we all have the common goals. So AJ did a tremendous job, and of course the coaching staff down to the trainers. We have um, so much expectations this year to do better and go further, and we're all pulling for that ultimate goal. It's just something that good teams do. The only team I could kind of think of, and Hosmer might have been a part of it, was the Royals that won a World Series, and they didn't really have a lineup like that. But they did a lot of other things very good. But, when you look at teams that make the playoffs today, from top to bottom, they have a whole bunch of guys that grind out at bats and control the strike zone. With the way pitchers are throwing the ball today, 95 plus with great secondary pitches, you have to make them work and build up a pitch count. And that's just something that we focus on over here.